Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second session on the panel, Leveraging Intelligent Automation to Fundamentally Change How Enterprises Operate and Deliver Value to Customers. In this particular segment, we will focus on supply chain transformation using intelligent automation. So let's get started. The COVID-19 crisis is triggering significant changes in consumer behavior and enterprise business operations today, especially for telecom companies. The COVID-19 crisis has been a game changer. Telecoms are seeing significant and immediate need to adopt to higher consumer demands, and which in turn is putting a heavy strain on their supply chain. The telecom supply chain for labor and equipment have been heavily disrupted, making it harder to keep up with the growing demand. Supply chain constraints from manufacturing locations that were previously heavily relied on, such as China, have resulted in extended lead times to consumers, ultimately impacting serviceability and therefore their revenues. Given this scenario, there's a lot of interest and immediate need in looking at and exploring how we can leverage intelligent automation powered by AI and analytics to make supply chains more efficient, with the aim of eliminating time-consuming tasks with no value add, which can enable employees to refocus on their core activities to re-energize the supply chain. So joining us to share some perspectives and strategies around this topic is Sayee Gadamsetty from TracFone Wireless. For more than 15 years, Sayee has been leading IT-enabled business transformation programs for TracFone. He's been focused on transforming business operations across supply chain, finance, customer experience, and other areas using technology as the key enabler and differentiator. Welcome, Sayee. Thank you, and very glad to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me here in this digital summit, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to represent TracFone. I have learned a lot during all of these summits, so hopefully I'll be able to share some of my experience, and people like me can gain some benefit out of this conversations. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Sayee. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. They're always power-packed with valuable insights for us to take away. So let's get things rolling with a broader question for you, Sayee. At TracFone, with its 10 plus popular prepaid brands, I'm sure you guys must be running a very, very complex business operations, especially when it comes to managing the supply chain across several different suppliers, retail partners, and vendors. So given that, can you take a couple of minutes to introduce TracFone Wireless to this audience and share some insight into the complex supply chain systems that you manage today, Sayee?
Everybody knows TracFone pretty much. We are at 21 million customers. We are #1 prepaid wireless company in the United States. And we have 90,000+ retail locations. These are all known facts. But why does it make complex for us, TracFone, right? I have to quantify that. We have a very unique, so very interesting and unique business model. The reason being, we support all the carriers in the United States, right? Sprint, T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, everybody. And then, like you said, we have 10 different brands. So technically, we are hosting 10 companies in our ecosystem, which means that I need to manage for 10 different organizations' inventory. Now, managing an inventory for one single organization is a challenge. So talk about complexity, right? 10 multiplied by whatever the complexity. So that is how complex we are managing. Now, to add to that, right? Complexity, we have another factor. All our transactions, right? Shipping transactions, receiving transactions, returns, refurbishment, kitting, all these transactions are handled by multiple 3PLs for us. So what it means is they do all the shipping, receiving, everything, and they send us the transactions very frequently, and we process them, we're getting it through EDI, process it in our ERP systems, right? And then transfer it over to downstream systems, be it Clarify, which is our CRM system, or Commerce. Now we're talking about thousands of orders, right? So what it means is I need to process all of them, not only timely, but also sequentially. I'll tell you why sequentially. right? We said 10 different companies we managed, 10 brands. So I had to make sure when we buy the products from OEMs in a base model, and then we kit them to a very generic model, and then we kit them again onto a brand specific, and then retailer and carrier specific. So these are the various stages of kitting that we need to maintain. So we have to make sure that in all of these transactions are received appropriately and accurately within TracFone systems, and also processed without any follow. Anything that does not follow or there's a failure, there's a high likely chances of impacting the customers, right? Because they might not get the right benefits, they might not be able to redeem it, or they might not be able to activate it because our systems have a different brand than what they have in their hand. So it is very, very important that we process all of this transaction. Now, once all of this are processed, we need to also reconcile. So we have all these 3PLs across. So everybody has got its own source of truth, but I need to be a source of record. That's how I'm going to be able to do my demand planning. That's why that's how I can do my capacity planning and everything. So all this is what adds the complexity of reconciliation, heavy Excel-oriented manual jobs, right? So to simplify that, we are in the plan of going towards digital transformation powered by AI and ML that can increase the efficiencies of the business. Now, we all know that strong supply chain organizations are the leaders. Talk about Amazon, right? So that's where we like to be there. And also Deloitte came up with a very good analysis. 79% of the organizations with good supply chain are having better ROI, right? So that's how complex our systems are. And hopefully with all of this digital transformation journey, we will be able to simplify some of the processes for the business users.
All right, Sai. Thanks for sharing some of those perspectives. There's a lot of takeaway there. As you mentioned earlier in the conversation, despite this dramatically changing environment, I'm sure telecom companies would have to continue to apply innovative approaches and technologies more actively than before to transform some of their processes, to make their workforce more efficient, and also reduce costs in their core business areas. Given this scenario, how do you see the strategic role of IT in transforming the current supply chain models? And also, you could probably throw some light on where do you see intelligent automation technologies like RPA, AI, and analytics playing a key role in rapidly enabling this transformation?
Interesting, yes. At TracFone, we are planning to be the leading organization, best in class, right? With a continuous focus on two things: customer NPS along with employee NPS. In order to achieve that, IT has got a major role, right? We need to be able to give the best-in-class solutions, best-in-class tools that helps the business. My specific role, I lead the IT support of all of the back office teams, be it supply chain, human resources, FinOps, customer services, right? Billing operations, name it. So I have a huge responsibility, not only serving the customer experience, to enhance the customer experience, I am also in charge or responsible for increasing or having a better business experience, right? So BX, and also AX, which is agents experience. So to have all these three, AX, BX, and CX, right? There's only one solution for me, which is DX, digital transformation. So there's like kind of a mathematical formula: DX is equal to AX plus BX plus CX, right? So that's how we can do. Now, digital transformation, right? Probably the terminology could be used technically very recently, but it has been existent around us. So back in early 2000s or probably late 90s, you know, if you had to travel, you'll run into a AAA office or into a gas station, get a map, look at it, and then start driving, right? Now, slowly, you started getting those GPSs, digital transformation, right? Similarly, when you talk about automation, right? The automation has been existent back in 1960s or something around that time. We all used to do mental math, not me, but parents probably. And then around 1966, Texas Instrument came up with a small robo that's called as calculator, right? So it has been around us, but organizations have started adapting to the RPA, BPA, digital transformation of late, right? So did we. So TracFone also started our journey. We started with a BPA processes, low-hanging fruits, started automating some of the manual processes, workflow related and everything. And then we went to the next step, which is automating a repetitive process like invoice processing. So with that, after that, we started looking for more and more of processes where we can use cognitive RPA with AI capabilities that can help us especially in the areas of supply chain, right? So we're looking into a process for ATP, available to promise, right? It's a very complex process for us. So it's 3 different teams. They have to do a manual work. It takes time, and we're losing days and time to do all of that. So we're looking into automating that. So with this, with the RPA, cognitive RPA with AI capabilities, right? We are trying to bring in the cutting edge for the business so they can improve their efficiencies and everything. So that's how we are planning. Now we are also looking for other areas like intent extraction, right? Intent extraction and CI, which is conversation intelligence. So we can get the intent and text. Conversation intelligence is getting a text converted in the IVR data converted into a text and getting the intent, so we can offer the next best offer or the next best action using our campaign management application. So that's our journey in short. So hopefully we will be able to get there and help all our customers.
Thanks, Sai. Those are some really great insights. One last question before I let you go. As you were mentioning earlier in the conversation, given the factors of how complex your supply chain ops are and the need to better integrate some of those disparate processes and create 10x efficiencies, and you mentioned quite a number of areas where you see a lot of digital transformation and automation coming in to kind of optimize those processes. Can you also talk about your strategies around how you prioritize, accelerate, and execute these initiatives while ensuring the target outcomes are met?
Another interesting question. Yes, we have faced a lot of challenges, but we got there. Now, after having embarked into the digital transformation and successfully launching few initiatives, right, we have learned some tenets that can help us navigate successfully into the next set of digital initiatives. Now, to name there are a lot of them, but let me just go to the top 3 or 4 or 5 of them, right? First and foremost, right, the objective should be get all of the backlog, but we cannot automate every processes, right? We need to be able to pick the right process. So we need to select the right process. We need to be able to make a like scientific judgment, data-backed scientific judgment. Now, for doing that, we will have to have some framework. So we are using Sunera's framework. It's called as ROCKS framework. It stands for RPA, opportunities, qualification, scoring methodology. So this gives you which process can be automated. Will it give a good ROI, right? The end objective should be, it should be high efficiency, agility, speed, low cost, right? And good ROI. So this is the 5 or 6 ingredients that you look for when you are trying to choose a process. Now, the second thing would be build a very solid business use case. So we definitely need to have a very good business use case, which clearly defines what your end results are going to be, right? Key metrics is going to be, key ROI is going to be, right? that will make a benefit to the business as well as reduce the inefficiencies. Third one is really important. Get buy-in from your stakeholders, right? Business and stakeholders. You can have everything and you do not have a buy-in from the business, it's going to be a disaster, right? And fortunately for TracFone, our CEO, Eduardo, our CIO, Jay Smith, our SVP, Scott DeLarge, right? They're all very visionary leaders. They think ahead of the time. They're super focused, super focused on the business initiatives, right? Razor focused on the business initiatives, and anything that would benefit the customers in line to the organization's vision, which is customer NPS or employee NPS, right? They're in for the game, right? All you need to do is to put a metric. This is what is investment. This is what is the ROI. They're in for it, right? That's and then fourth one is you should be able to design a scalable delivery model, right? So our mantra is start small and scale fast, right? One of the challenges that we have today in TracFone, right, is that it's and most of the organizations, all these are very new, so technically we have less people there. So what we have done is we have partnered with other strategic partners of TracFone, Sunera being one of them, to give a solution like RPA as a service, right? So that gives us a comfort of going through more processes, in a very educated fashion. Now, the fifth is also very important, right? As we scale, right, we need to have a sustainable delivery models, right? Which needs to be continuous and consistent value. If not, what would happen is it's going to be like a one-off. You do this process and then you lose the momentum, then you come back and you do this. So we should not have that. So what we are planning is to start a COE, Center of Excellence, for all this digital transformation. So and the Center of Excellence, right? What we are trying to do is it's more of a business-driven rather than an IT-driven, right? So the moment you get a business buy-in, right, most of the projects will be always successful, right? Because they will be able to sympathize, they will be able to understand the need for any automation. They will be able to help with designing of that. So all those things will become easy when it is a business driven than an IT driven. And also when we bring in the backlog and we start thinking about all of this process, right? One thing that we want to do is choose the right tool, right? Not lock to any vendor, right? Right tool, how it can help us based on those use cases. So we are looking into all of those. And then we should be able to reuse our best practices that we have defined. So these are all some of the initiatives that we have taken to help grow in our digital transformation. It was nice talking to you, and hopefully I could share some of my experiences. And thanks once again.